I hate saying it this way because I know that there's danger every day. I know that there's shootings every day. I know that the police are laying their lives on the line every day. But I also like the idea of having you guys in studio talking about safety and security when, 2 days ago we didn't see a shooting in a school. 2 days ago we didn't see a mass shooting in a mall somewhere. So it's nice to have you in, not having that as a requisite to stop by. So thank you for coming in.
Yeah, amen. That's usually the requisite for us sitting here. So it is nice to do that.
And I would note that, I was picking on Brink, or actually I was kind of picking on myself through Brink about not talking about God-fearing gun owners, your apparel line.
Yeah.
And you didn't realize we were on the radio.
I did not have any idea. I guess I could have looked at that red button right next to you and I just, the investigator, must be retired for not being a trained observer there, but yeah.
You're giving me the business. I like that.
That's pretty
Is this the way he treats you every day, Adam?
Every day.
So, you're here for a specific reason. You've got an event that's coming up that's very exciting, but I just want to talk to you generally about, what you do at Defend and what you're seeing around the state and around the country in terms of security, safety. And obviously we did have a relatively recent event happening in Antioch that's led to some progress. How would you describe what we've seen? At least they got some sort of detection device or system. Now, you have a different take on these types of things, and I just want you to share it with everybody that's missed it in the past.
Okay. Yeah. I will say that it has made conversations happen that maybe were not happening as often before, maybe as they should have been. But I think you can say that probably about every school district in this country, that, they don't want to talk about the big, bad, scary stuff that is more than likely not going to happen, but is super high impact if it does. My take on detection equipment, metal detectors, they will help with your gangbangers bringing guns to school, whatever else. But a person that's committed to shooting up a school, if I'm that person, then I'm just going to walk up to the line with the metal detector. I'll have a gun probably in my hand, concealed under a jacket, whatever. And I'm just going to walk through the metal detector. When it goes off, I'm going to if the officer's there, that's probably who I'm going after first. That's just me. It's just not going to stop a shooter from shooting up a building. There is a place for them, certainly, right? But somebody committed is going to start their attack right there at that detector, right? And keep going. So there is a place and time for them. I just think any security technology should be secondary to training your people,
right?
Period.
Well, and what we are told, and in the aftermath of Antioch, you came on air with us, and you indicated that you had, some folks telling you that maybe best practices were not initiated in the aftermath of Antioch. I'm trying to be kind because I've never been through an event like that. I have no idea how I'd react. I'd like to believe that my training would kick in with you, right?
Sure.
But what have you learned since then regarding kind of the aftermath, and is there anything to take away from it?
Well, the response piece, yes. The response from the faculty and staff was kind of all over the board. So some people did the right thing, and some people did terrible with decision making and placement of kids, and barricade versus not barricade versus evacuate, not evacuate. Apparently communication, which it does often. Adam can allude to that. Being a military guy, one of the first things to go when the proverbial hits the fan is communication. And so that was terrible. I know, obviously, we all know now that his intent was a minimum of 10 victims, and he didn't get that. And from what I understand, it was more, the reason for that is he was having weapon malfunction problems that he was not super high speed on fixing. And so that if you listen to the cadence of the shots in the video that was recorded, it's very slow, and it's because he's trying to fix his gun. And then finally, I think he just panicked because he was not able to do what he wanted to do. And I think felt like things were closing in on him and took himself out. So thank the Lord that it happened that way and he didn't get his 10 victims. But, the big takeaways there, if you have a crowd in a crowded environment that you can't evacuate, a church sanctuary, a high school basketball game, a cafeteria, you need to have good guys with guns present to take out bad guys with guns, because you can't evacuate that room. Like, it's impossible, right? Because there's too many people. So the only thing to stop a threat in there needs to be somebody shooting back.
Because they're going to bottleneck.
100%.
Yeah.
And think about what that looks like for a bad guy.
Right. That's just a target. That's just an easy way 100%. To kill people.
Yep. So we got to position our good guys in those environments to be there to help deal with that. Now, that happened so fast. Adam's pretty fast. I mean, he was special forces, right? Even if he'd been standing there in a gun belt, that happened so fast to that first victim, I don't think anybody could have done anything.
I would spend good money betting that Adam could beat you in a 40-yard dash.
Oh,
I mean, without...
That's probably very true.
Without
he could probably run backwards and beat me. I mean...
I might pull a hamstring on the way and go down, so...
Yeah, same.
But point being, initially we were told that there were 2 SROs at Antioch, and that neither of them were in the lunchroom.
That's true. And that
should that be a concern if I'm a parent?
Well, the protocol, I think, across SRO world has not always been that. This is my opinion of why they should be, and this applies to not just schools, churches, all the things, right? When we have crowded environments like that, having the ability for a good guy to step in and step into the gap, if you will. I think that should be protocol. Currently, I doubt that it is. I never worked as an SRO with Metro, and I talked to those guys, so I'm not busting on them. I think they just did what they did every day, but I think the protocol should be, and I think every parent should demand this, that if my child's in a crowded environment, even a chapel or, whatever announcements, any of that stuff, pep rally.
Yeah, pep rally at the gym.
All the above.
Whatever.
Good guys need to be there when it's a crowded environment.
Right. When students are coming to a common location, to gather at a common location, it should be standard operating procedure that, especially if you have more than one. I mean, I can understand if an SRO is dealing with something across campus and can't get over there, but if you got more than one, it would seem to me that would just be, I don't want to say common sense because I don't want to presuppose that I know everything about this, but it would seem to me that it would be good practice.
Absolutely. If you have a high casualty producing area like that, like we've said, the cafeteria, auditorium, I mean, you could be out on the football field for a pep rally, doesn't matter yet. Somebody has to be there. Somebody could walk out there with a simple rifle and induce a lot of casualties very quickly. If you don't have somebody there to respond, then they're there for nothing. So.
What is the transition for those that don't know Adam McIntyre? Talk a little about your background because my curiosity gets the better of me. The transition between what you did do and what you're doing with defense systems.
Yeah, so I spent 20 years in the military, and 15 of that was in special forces. So I was a Green Beret. So I was a weapons sergeant to begin with, and I went to be an intelligence sergeant on a team. And then I ended my career as a team sergeant. So that was kind of the epitome throughout your whole career. You want to be the boss one day. So I got to be the boss, and then I went on my last deployment in 2022 and kind of hung it up. And the transition from what I did then to now, it seems kind of seamless in the sense, but as special forces in Green Beret, like when we deploy, our motto is to free the oppressed. So, protecting innocent people, it could be standing up a village, it could be doing a raid at nighttime, it doesn't matter. And mentally, I kind of translate that into the school realm as well. So we're going there to help teachers, empower them to be able to save their lives in their kids' lives. And for me, that's extremely satisfactory. And it's very similar to what we do if we go to Afghanistan and help out a village that's being overrun by the Taliban. Like, all right, well, let's kick those dudes out. Let's help these people survive, build them back up, equip them so they can fight off these terrorists. And I feel the same when we take these teachers, we train them, then we walk to their classroom and they're like, hey, what do I do in this classroom? It's like, cool, let's walk through this.
Forgive my ignorance in asking this, but I don't know. I mean, were you in Afghanistan?
Yeah.
How long?
I did a 6-month trip to Afghanistan.
Does it, when all that came to a close, what emotions did that create in you?
A lot of anger, and I don't say this in the right, like in a way of, but I was excited. I thought, based off text messages, rumor mills, that we're about to go back. And, the memes were fine. The text messages were fine. Guys were actually going to, get their shots and updated medical records to go. From no official word, it was just pure speculation of like, well, there's a cause and effect to the situation. They did that. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back there and pound you. And obviously that never happened.
Right.
So it was pretty upsetting. And a lot of the reports of our partner forces, we worked with some special operations Kandax and the SF guys over there. And then, throughout the, after we pull it out, all you hear is that they're getting murdered.
It makes me, and the reason I asked was for that, because, just last night, Donald Trump said that they caught one of the central figures in the gate explosion that killed 13 of ours and killed hundreds others and wounded many, many others. And that's good, bringing those individuals to justice. But I I get emotional. I get weepy in my old age. I get emotional thinking about the number of Afghan nationals that risked their lives assisting us on our word that we would not forsake them, and we forsake them.
No, it's something we did in Iraq too. And then, fast forward years later, 8-10 years later, we do the same thing in Afghanistan. You look at Vietnam, like we're not looking at history and seeing what we do, and it kills us in an intelligence realm too. Because we just get up and leave. So all these people that we've been, gathering information from for years, we just get up and leave. We don't keep that relationship ongoing. Maybe some, but a lot of them we just, hey, see you later. And now we'll go back. It's inevitable. 3, 5, 10, 20 years later, and they're like, what? I'm going to talk to you just for you guys to
right. And even as little as gathering the people together that were direct points of contacts, and at least making sure that those individuals and their families are safe, because we gave them that guarantee, we gave them that promise, individually and collectively as a country. It's just it's frustrating. It's just it is annoying.
He won't tell you as much about himself. He's done 14 combat deployments. Anybody that's been in the military knows what that does, right? He's been all over the world. In that time, he also spent 4 years as a free fall instructor for the military. So he taught Special Forces skydiving for 4 years.
That's fun.
Yeah.
You ever jumped out of a plane, Brink?
No. I know the story of yours. I know you have.
I wasn't going to bring that up. I was just going to ask.
I know you've done it. Adam's done it over 2,000 times.
Well, I've done it twice with instructors. That's all.
He quit counting at 2,000 because, why count past that? Yeah. So, he's not going to brag on himself. He's done a lot of really awesome stuff. But he's a humble guy, and he's obviously dedicated to what we do, and he keeps bringing up teachers. That's the biggest vertical we've grown in is schools. But obviously, I think people know we train more than just schools and teachers. But that's when the biggest impact we feel, I would think, is teachers because of what they're responsible for, right? Mm-hmm. These kids.
Yeah.
Well, when you teach corporations, healthcare facilities, and any place. I say any place people gather, right? Yep. Any place where there's a crowd, church congregations, but we gravitate to the schools because there are a lot of people there, but there are a smaller number of people there that we expect to be responsible for the larger number of people there, right?
And it's our most vulnerable population.
Right. Right.
Kids.
You don't expect middle schoolers to have to go through this level of training. You put the teachers through the level of training so that they can do what they need to do in the unlikely event that something should happen. I like to say it that way. And you listen, this is not designed to be a commercial for defense systems, but invariably we're going to talk about that. But, when I say that, what you guys do is empower individuals first and foremost, kind of give them that level of training and the tools necessary to do the things right. But I love to remind people that there's a minuscule possibility of them having to deal with this, right? It is true. We're not here to scare the hell out of people.
No.
But the point is, it's not zero.
You know what to do in severe weather, right? Like with tornadoes coming, do you know what to do? The answer is yes.
Right.
Most people have never faced down a tornado that hit the building they were in.
Right. No, it's exactly right.
But you know what to do.
Right. And the possibility is minuscule that a tornado is going to hit you, but it's not zero. Brink Fidler's with us, Adam McIntyre with Defense Systems, talking about a variety of different things. One, you have those that have heard you on the show in the past know that Defense Systems was a part of the training that Covenant School went through prior to the sad events that happened a couple of years ago. And as a result of some of those relationships that you've had with the Metro Nashville Police, you've got a podcast series coming out regarding Covenant School, and I wanted to make sure that folks understood or knew about it.
Yeah, so we've had the podcast for a few years. We let it go dormant for a little while just because our company's got so busy, but I do it in combination with a guy named Tom Herring who owns Herring Technology, and we are doing a series on Covenant, and it's primarily for a couple of reasons. One, to quote you, where there's a lack of information, there will be speculation, right? Mm-hmm. And so a lot of that's still happening. But it also helps a lot of people to hear the stories, people that experience Covenant, because you got to think everybody in this community experienced Covenant. Everybody did in their own way, but so it helps people heal at the end of the day. So we wanted to get different perspectives on that day and what it looked like. So we've done, none of this is out yet, but it's coming. We've recorded one episode with Michael Colazzo, who's one of the officers that shot the suspect. Jeff Mathis is coming on, who is the officers that you see enter with Rex. When they start clearing those rooms, there's a guy with a shotgun. That's Jeff. He's coming on. His episode's not been recorded yet. We had a Covenant mom. Her recording's done, but it's not out yet. She had 3 kids in the building that day, one of which was in one of the classrooms that got shot to pieces. So her story is important, and I wanted to hear from that. And we're going to have Collazo back on because he wants to talk about the mental aftermath for him, which is heavy, but needs to be talked about. I mean, like, it's just, if we're going to help this community heal, like, we need to talk about all of it, even the dirty laundry, whatever you want to talk about, like the negative parts, all, you know. And then right now we have actually a Covenant teacher that's not a teacher there anymore, but that wants to, you know, tell her story, and if it can help somebody else. I mean, that's what this is all about. If this information can help another organization, another school, somebody that's gone through a traumatic event, whatever it is, that's what we're after, right? Is to just share with the community, because this whole community felt the pain from that day. So
how can people find I mean, I know that it's yet to come out, but how can we find the podcast so we can kind of flag it? And
sure. You can go to our website and find it. But the podcast itself is called Tips, Tactics, and Tools for a Safer Tomorrow. Okay. So we talk, I mean, we're doing a Covenant series, but we talk all things safety and security, from technology to events that happen. So some of the episodes will be for some people and not for others, because you may not care about metal detection technology, but you may want to hear about a particular event that happened. So it's kind of anything in that realm.
But you can route through defensesystems.com and get there. Even yesterday, it was day before yesterday. It wasn't yesterday because I was out at Nashville Palace. But day before yesterday, I had somebody ask me, and this occasionally every couple weeks, when's the manifesto coming out? And I don't understand what people are waiting for. I mean, not that we learned anything from it, but Leahy over at the Tennessee Star leaked the 80 pages that were available. We didn't learn anything except that this person was mentally insane and was determined to kill people. So do you get that question?
I do. And of course, you and I have had discussions on this for several years now. So it's not a manifesto. There's no clear motive. There are details of other targets, including Covenant, like floor plans, schedules, recon. We just don't need that in the hands of some other lunatic. But again, where there's a lack of information, like there was in the beginning, people are going to speculate, as they are going to. And so I wish
they hadn't labeled it a manifesto.
It shouldn't have been,
first off.
But you know, it is what it is. But they should have said in the beginning why. Like, what is their reasoning behind it? And if they had said that, I think it would have handled a lot of that. And that wasn't done as well as maybe it could have been, just in my opinion.
This event that's coming up. Talk to me about it.
So a lot of people are familiar with the Sean Ryan Show. Sean is a very successful podcaster, retired Navy SEAL, lives here in the area, and he has on quite often a guest named Sarah Adams, who is best known as a former CIA targeter and analyst. She served, I think, on the House Oversight Committee for the Benghazi thing. She's actually co-authored a book called Benghazi, Know Thy Enemy, with a guy named Dave Boone. Boone is one of the contractors that fought off that attack on Benghazi. So they are coming to town to do a law enforcement briefing, and then this is on Monday, March 10th, and then that evening they are doing a briefing for safety and security personnel for houses of worship, schools, maybe more than that. But there's still plenty of seating left. Our connection, we have a connection with kind of several people involved in this thing. This is not a Defense Systems event, but we just offered to help get the word out about it because there are still several seats available. You cannot come to this event and just as a member of the public. You have to register ahead of time. So you can either reach out to us through the website and we'll get you in touch with Hans, or you can email him directly, which is Hans, Hans, @southhall.church. He has to vet every single person that's coming, and you have to have some sort of relationship to safety and security, ideally in a house of worship or a school, not necessarily just that. If you show up and you're not registered, you're not getting in. If you show up with no ID, you're not getting in. It's going to be a very, very robust law enforcement presence, just because Sarah is considered one of the world's most, highly touted experts on terrorist threats in the landscape, and because she's still very involved in that world. She is phenomenal.
And consequently, she needs robust security.
100%.
Yeah, makes sense.
There will be a massive amount of security at the event. But it's also an incredible opportunity for people that are in the security space to come gain more intelligence about what emerging threats look like and what they should be preparing for and all those things. And it's really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, if you ask me. So I think for people that potentially want to come, the big thing there is you can either email us directly just through our website, which is defensesystems.com, or you can email Hans directly, which is hans@southhall.church, and he will vet you, send you a form. Registration has to be done by 5 p.m. on Friday, so you guys got basically 47 hours from now, whatever, 2 days, and then it's going to close. But it's a really good opportunity for people in that world to potentially come here from both of them. So Sarah and Boone both will be there, and they both co-authored that book. And there's going to be a book signing afterwards as well.
Yeah, this is an incredible opportunity. I mean, Sarah, you might remember, Sarah was on, I think, the podcast talking about the aftermath of that Cybertruck deal out in Las Vegas. I mean, yeah, she's all over the internet, and she's just such a wealth of information. Once again, Hans@southhall.com.
Southhall.church.
.church.
If they forget that, just get on our website, send us a contact form, or email us at info@defensesystems.com, and we'll get you connected.